Hey everyone, this is Rob and I'm back with another video today for the series. And today I wanted to talk about something very important. Basically, I wanted to talk about workers and the workforce, different ages, what the trends are, how that relates to our welfare systems, Medicare and Social Security, and what the future may look like for the United States based upon some of these observations. So I'm going to start with a study done by the Bureau of Labor Statistics that you can see on the screen. It was published in July 2018, and they did a study from July of 2008, excuse me. And they did a study over 30 years from 1977 to 2007 regarding different age groups and the increase of workers' participation in those age groups. And this is a very cool chart because it really kind of summarizes what I wanted to talk about in regards to employment. As you can see at the very top, the blue bar, the age 16 and over group had expanded employment by 59%. So this may account for population growth. It may account for periods of booming economy, so on and so forth. That's 16 and over. That's basically most people. Some people can work before 16, but most labor laws in most states are about 16 or 15. You can do some other jobs. I started working when I was 10, but they're more limited. So 16 is a pretty good number to start with. It's where you really start seeing a lot of people being employed, learning how to enter the workforce, build skills, pay for things. Kids pay for things in high school if they want, like prom or a car or expenses. They start helping out their parents and taking on part of the load. And then, paying for college or a trade school and then going on to take care of themselves. Well, look at age 65 and over, the official retirement age. So the retirement age, I know it's been kind of flexible in recent years. Some people say 67. It really had been 65 for the longest time. When the New Deal was announced and all these socialist welfare programs came into place, 65 was really the target age. We said, if you live to be 65, the government will take care of you after that by giving you medical insurance and prescription drug coverage, and we'll give you a paycheck every month, based upon what you earned and what you paid into the system during your working years. Well, look at that group. It's 101% increase in employment. Well, so that's much greater than the overall population by 2/3. So if you think about it, 60% of 16 and over, 101%, that's about a 40% difference. Well, 40% divided by the original 60% is 2/3. Okay, so overall, 65 and over, we're re-entering the workforce from 1977 to 2007 at 66% higher rate than the overall population. So let's get this straight for a second. The major point I want to make here for you guys, people that are supposed to be retiring are re-entering the workforce at a clip 66% higher than everybody else. Who's supposed to be supporting these people in their retirement. So that right there, that single line of this bar chart right here, and I'm basically ranting now because I really want to make the point. That single line in this chart basically shows that the socialist system, and the welfare programs are failures. They're flat out, unmitigated disasters. Disasters. Now, let's break it down and look at some of the other bars, which I think are really interesting. So men age 65 and over, 75%. Okay, so as men are retiring, they're entering the workforce, 75% increase over this time period, which is more in the general population. That's still broken. It should be less. It should be some number less than 59. If the overall amount is 59% increase, you would think as people are retiring and getting this money from the government, that number would have to be less than the 59% for 16 and over. Or else the welfare programs aren't really paying squat, and people are having to make the choice of going back in to the market saying, I can't even have a basic lifestyle here, and I would rather work. But look at women age 65 and over, 147%. That's double men, just about double men, 65 and over. That's astounding. Now, some of this can be attributed to the fact that women are entering the workforce more in general because, prior to 1940s, where women were basically running the factories as men went off to war, World War II, women really didn't work that much. It wasn't completely unheard of, but for the most part, they stayed home, and had kids and did that thing. We didn't really have the women's lib movements that started in the 50s and 60s, and some of those types of movements are continuing today. Women are now becoming as much of the workforce as men. In fact, I have seen statistics and studies by women researchers who have shown that women now have are getting higher salaries and getting more benefits to go in the workforce than men are, and so that trend has completely swung over to women, and I may talk about that in a later video. So a lot of the equality things have actually swung the other way, to more towards the benefit of women in a lot of respects. But it's clear here that women, are having to enter the workforce more. It's not just that women in general are entering the workforce more. It's also the fact that they may be single and not married, and so they have to take care of themselves. Or it may be that they're entering the workforce over 65 because whatever the man's retiring on, whether it be a pension, 401k, plus benefits, the socialist benefits, isn't enough to pay for a lifestyle that women over 65 are having to jump into. That is just ridiculous. We have a welfare system. We have a 401k investment system. We had pensions for a lot of these people, even though pensions aren't as popular now as they used to be. A lot of these people 65 and over have pensions if they work for the same company for a long period of time, or even if they work for 5 or 10 years. My wife, we're Gen Xers. We're in our 40s. My wife still got a pension from the first job she had at a hospital. She worked there for 12 years. And she was fully vested in that pension after 5. So after 5 years, she got fully vested. Now, it's a small amount that she's going to be getting, but she's going to get it for life no matter what, supposedly, if it doesn't go bankrupt. And there have been pressures on that pension. But assuming that it's still there when she retires, which I don't think it will be if the trend continues, she would get a pension for only, after having worked there after 5 years. And then, of course, she worked 12, so she put more in, so she gets a little bit more. But people were still in certain areas of the economy still getting pensions, even though, we may still have 20 more years of working. But people 65 and over, the largest portion of any demographic that got pensions. So pensions, 401ks, socialist system like Medicare and Social Security, and they still can't retire. That is astounding. That's an astounding statistic. Look down where they break it down in the blue bars from 65, 69, 70, 74, 75, and over. It's the reverse of what you would expect. It's getting progressively worse as people get older and older. A large reason for this is the increase in medical costs. But it's also the general increase in costs in society and the fact that these welfare systems aren't keeping up. And I talk about this in my book. One of the chapters in my book is dedicated solely to this fact that inflation numbers, chapter 2 of my book talks about inflation numbers being severely understated over time by the government because of some of the modifications they made. And I go into great detail in the book. So if you want to know, there's 50 pages in chapter 2 dedicated to those statistics using the government's own data and analyzing that. So as these welfare programs are indexed to inflation, they're indexed to a lower number than the actual real-world inflation of prices we see. And so that as people get older, these 3 blue-color bars down here basically show you ain't retiring because prices are increasing faster than the amounts that you're getting through these welfare programs. And guess what? You're not going to be able to pay for retirement. You're not going to be able to pay for retirement. And on top of that, if you had saved in a pension or 401k, that's still not enough. And that shows that not enough people saved enough to last their entire retirement. Now, by the time that they got to age 75, that's like double what it was 65. So what that's saying is people's retirement is not enough to help them retire at 65, but at least it's a portion to help that they don't have to go in the workforce. But after 10 years, at 75 years of age, people are going to the workforce in droves. So that means that the average person saving outside of the welfare system isn't saving enough to retire without the welfare, obviously, because they're going back in the workforce. But they're saving so little that those retirements of 401ks and pensions are only lasting 10 years. And it's not making up the difference between what Social Security, Medicare, and all those other benefits basically are giving them. That's astounding. So I wanted to fast forward to a study the BLS did and released in 2014, and this is on Fact Tank, printed in 2014. The BLS did a study of different age groups, and they did a little bit more expansive study, and then projected it out to 2022. So they're projecting forward about 8 years from the study. But they studied from 1992 to 2002 to 2012, and then projected to 2022 the trends based on their data. Again, this is a government agency, Bureau of Labor Statistics. Okay. You can see that total 16 years and over, the labor force participation rate's coming down. Okay, that means less percentage of people overall, whatever age group, are actually working. That's not a good number. Now, 65 and over, we want less working, but every age under that, we want more working because that's a sign of a healthy economy. So that trend by itself, this bar by itself, is disturbing. Now look at 16 to 19 years. These are our young folks that are learning to go into the workforce, that are starting to save money for college or a trade school, are starting to be able to take care of themselves and learn how to participate in the workforce. Look at that percentage rate going down from about 50% of people working at age 16 to 19 to only about 25%. That's about a half cut. So where are their jobs going? Well, we'll see just in a second. Look at 2024. Okay, 2024 is about the time you get out of trade school and college and start working. That number's coming down. That's not good. Look at 25 to 54. Prime working years, that's even coming down. No, it's only a couple of percentage points. But that means the economy is providing less jobs for people in their prime age from 16 to 54 to work. That's a problem. Well, look at what's happening to the older age groups. They're participating in the workforce even more, and it's gone up from the 1992 number of under 60% to now almost 70% and projected in 2022. Now look at it in the older age groups. You see in 65 to 74, look at this stark increase from about 15% to over 30. That's double from 1992 to 2022 participation. So who's taking the jobs from these young kids and these other people as they enter the workforce and build their skills? The older, more experienced people who cannot retire on pensions, 401ks, and welfare from the government are taking the jobs away from our younger folks. That's the opposite of what we want. We want more of these people working in these age years to support these people, and that is a failure of the system. The socialist system flat out does not work, and that's what this data shows. Period. End of story. So for you younger guys, I know in the millennial generation, there's been a lot published about how you guys are turning more towards socialism, the failure of the capitalist system to provide you guys a better living standard than your parents. Maybe for the first generation a long time, people are more attuned to socialism. Millennials are embracing socialism. I think that's also because we have socialism being taught in the schools for the last 30 to 40 years, that it's taught people to become more socialist. You guys who think socialism is the answer, look at this data. It's already showing you it's not the answer. It's not going to work. It's going to fail. It's already failing. It's going to fail way before the millennials ever get to retire. The socialist system is going to implode. You know how I know that? Because according to the government, and I printed this in my book and I printed this in articles online, you simply buy a book or go to the free articles online and read them, okay? I have shown that the government has stated between 100 to 200 billion in unfunded liabilities in today's dollars for the welfare programs right now. That means all the commitments we have to the current retirees are 100 to 200 trillion in today's dollars. And it's only going to grow over time as more people enter the retirement system. So guess what, millennials? You're never going to get these benefits. My generation and the Gen Xers, only a few people may get benefits, and they're going to be slashed. I don't expect to get any Social Security. I don't expect my wife to get her pension. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I just know we're going to take care of ourselves. By the time the millennials who think that socialism is the answer get to retirement age, long since has that system collapsed that they think is the answer. The reality is, ladies and gentlemen, especially, and I'm targeting the millennials here and some of the younger Gen Xers who may be counting on the government to take care of you. I really want you guys to understand that system is already collapsing. It's already collapsing long before you guys will ever benefit from it. And the system we had was not free market capitalism. If you go back and look at the economists and the writers, when capitalism first came out, it was for entrepreneurs to go out and build businesses locally and produce locally. It wasn't the super big, giant corporations. In fact, the corporation and the trust that corporations use and rich people use to hide, basically, and protect their wealth wasn't in place. It wasn't even a concept, really, when capitalism first started. That concept came much after. And it's basically, I think, a fascist concept because it's combining the power of the state with what used to be capitalism and creating this system that doesn't promote what the Constitution and the capitalist system originally promoted, which was that you would have free market economies, people would be entrepreneurs, people would have a skill and trade based on that skill locally with other people, and maybe you export, somewhere across the country if you make enough, but you wouldn't have mega corporations and supporting a socialist system that's bankrupt and the top levels of the mega corporations making all the money where the workers get an increasingly smaller percentage of the profits of the corporation, which has been shown to be true in thousands of news articles. I'm not even going to bother looking one up. So what's happening to the baby boomers? Here's an article from Zero Hedge that their wealth has vanished. Baby boomers file for bankruptcy in droves. Bankruptcy! What is bankruptcy? It means you have debt. Okay? It means that when you retire, you're supposed to have paid everything off and live off the government and not have to work and blah, 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 blah. I've already shown you can't live off the government. Not only that, they're not paying their debts. They're taking too many debts into retirement. They're living too big of a lifestyle. This is a problem in America. Look at the Medicare beneficiaries' out-of-pocket spending. It's gone up 74%. Like I said, the healthcare costs are going up. Okay? And as you get older, they go up more. Bankruptcy filings for people 65 to 74 has been up 204%. For 55 to 64, it's up 66%. For everyone else, it's down. For everyone else, it's down. So the younger generations have figured out don't take on too much debt, which is good. The baby boomers, well, you're basically screwed. And the older part of the Gen Xers, you're screwed. Look at the bankruptcies. You're screwed. You took on too much debt. You're screwed. You can't retire. Look at this relative percentage change from 1991 to 2016. U.S. bankruptcy filers by age cohort, 75 plus up almost 1,000%, 65 plus up almost 500%, 65 to 74, 392%, 55 to 64, 251%. So, the younger generations, the bankruptcy filings are going down. Why? Because they're not taking on debt. They're not spending as much. So that also tells you that when the baby boomers expire, a lot of the spending is going away to support the economy, guys. That's what this chart is showing you. First, they're going bankrupt. It's gonna collapse the credit markets and the debt markets, all these bankruptcies. Who's going to spend to support the U.S. economy afterwards? Bankruptcy filings are down. Job and participation in labor is down for the younger age groups. They're not going to be able to support the welfare system. They're not spending to support the financial system. That means the stock and bond markets cannot continue to proceed as planned and continue to grow under this scenario. The demographics are showing that is impossible. The socialist policies in the United States for welfare are going to collapse. The bond and stock markets are going to collapse eventually due to these demographics. They're unchangeable. We would all have to go out and have a bunch more babies and somehow time warp them 18 to 20 years in the future and give them college degrees to stop this trend. In other words, you can't do that. It's not possible. At least not today. Unless we make a bazillion clones and we do nothing but tax them 100%, which is completely inhumane and goes against my religion. But, what I'm trying to point out, there's no way to solve this problem. So if you're young, I'm directing this to young people. The baby boomers, you're already screwed. I mean, you made your bed, you have to live in it. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. I paid in Social Security, Medicare to help you guys. I've done my part to support you. Okay, I've done my part. But I'm not going to get any of those benefits. So I'm screwed. The millennials are screwed from these aspects. So I don't, at this point in time, it's the way I look at the baby boomers is I'm sorry, but you're screwed. You screwed yourself. Too much spending on warfare and welfare. Too many houses, too many cars. You spent too damn much. And now you're paying the price. And this is a lesson to the younger generations. Don't do the same thing. And oh, by the way, they can't because they can't find enough jobs. So they're not going to anyway. And it's going to collapse. Everybody should be aware of this demographic trend, what it means, and how it's going to signal the bigger collapse. That's not to say we couldn't have a stock market correction today. It's not to say that within 2 months the bond yield curve couldn't invert, and that would be the sign of a big recession. I'm talking about a demographic-driven collapse in the economy. Collapse. Okay? It's already happening. So that's what I want to talk about today. I don't want to rant on it for too long. I did want to make the point. This is something, especially if you're younger or any time before retirement. Younger can be, 55 or younger. This is something you need to think about. If you're 55 and you're planning for retirement at 65, you got 10 years to change things around for yourself. Get out of debt. Get some more skills so that you can continue to work because you ain't retiring at 65 unless you're, one of the few percentage points of that age group that's wealthy and can sell a business or whatnot and support yourself. But I'm talking majority of people, get out of debt. You're going to work longer, so revamp your skills, go back to college or start on. Even better than going back to college, don't take on that debt. Go start a business. Go learn a skill and start a business. That's really what we need. Start a small business locally. You got to do it. If you're younger than 55, you got to start planning now, and you've got more runway. The people that are 55 now only have a few years to do this before their official retirement age. We all expect it where this whole socialist system of retiring at 65 in our golden years and fishing on the lake or traveling the world or getting in an RV and traveling the country. It's not going to happen. For other than a small percentage of people, it's not going to happen. You're going to work until you basically die unless we get smarter about our governmental spending and our personal spending and we start reversing this trend. But it's up to us, not up to government. Government can't solve this problem. Government tried, they failed. They have failed. That system is failing. I've shown it to you from the BLS's own numbers. Okay, from the bankruptcy numbers. It's from the government saying we have so much unfunded liabilities, you can't pay for them. Okay? That's the accounting office of the government saying that. Okay? So we've got to change. But this is just a message to guys. Just understand the trends and plan appropriately and stop voting for socialism. It's already failed in this country. And if you vote more in, it's going to fail bigger and you're going to pay the price. You millennials and you younger Generation Xers, I'm talking to you. And for the benefit of your kids. If you do not heed this and you continue to vote in socialism, you're going to go down a worse road than the baby boomers, who that system is already collapsing for them. Don't do it. Don't vote in these socialists. Don't support these socialist policies. Get independent. Understand the Constitution. Understand true free market capitalism, not corporatism, not fascism, not socialism, not communism. Reject those ideologies. They're already failing in the United States. Please reject them. That's it for today. Thank you guys. If you like the video, please subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. Follow me on Twitter. And if you really like my work, I do have a Patreon account. And you're free to subscribe there as well. Thank you guys. Until next time, this is Rob on the Suey Jurors channel.